From kicking things off at Daytona Bike Week to visiting the coast of Southern California to every challenging and iconic venue across the country, it's time to roll out and begin the 2024 Progressive American Flat Track season. Man, I love that sound.
What's up, everybody? It's Scotty here with Flat Track Flashback, and it is finally that time. The moment we've been waiting for 6 months. It is time to kick off the 2024 Progressive American Flat Track season. And if you tuned in last week, you caught up with our thoughts on the AFT singles class. Well, today we're previewing the premier class, the Mission SuperTwins class. And this championship has been owned by two riders since 2017, and that's Mees and Brier Balman, and both are back, but with another rider who came on very strong last year, impressing so many people. We knew the talent was there. We knew the speed was there. But to put on a season like he had last year, boy, Dallas Daniels really raised some eyebrows. And these three riders, I believe, Jared, Dallas, Brier, they're all going to be in the hunt for this championship this year. And they're going to be fighting it down to the wire. It's going to be hard for me to see anybody else who's going to be able to give that consistency like I see these three riders having. And I get up in that title hunt. And when we talk about consistency, we're going to first look at the guy who has won it all. He's a 9-time champion. He's bringing that number one plate back this year. And
I'm not fucking leaving. They're going to need a fucking wrecking ball to take me out of here.
Yep, he's not leaving. Jared Mees is back. He's going for Title 10. He's going to try to catch a few more milestones in his career. We know he's got 72 career wins. He's only 6 behind Chris Carr for second all-time. That's a number that's well within his reach given his skill level and the number of wins that he's amassed over the past few years. Kind of weird seeing 2022 having a bit of a drop-off with only getting 3 wins that year, but strong performance last year. The guy's a 9-time champion. And with those 72 wins, he's picked up 52 of them on the Indian dating back to 2017. So Jared and Kenny Tolbert and this Indian, they are a force. Jared was already a super talented and decorated rider before he hopped on this Indian machine. But boy, since 2017, Jared Mees has been just on another level. And then Brier was able to come in and take a couple titles from him, but then Jared raised his level again. And it's like anytime these challengers step up to the plate, Jared he gets that more driven to get back that number one plate that he feels should be his every single year. And Jared is one of those really special riders who's definitely in the greatest of all time category. You look at his season last year, man, a average finish of 2.1. And that is something that we'll talk about. Like, when we go back through these championships and how difficult it is to win these titles, like, you can't hardly finish off the podium if you want to be in the hunt for a championship. And in Jared's championship seasons, last year, a 2.1 average finish. In 2022, a 3.0 average finish. And then we go back to 2021, 3.1 average finish. Now, this is where it gets even more crazy. In 2018, 2.2 average finish, and that was with being disqualified and having a DNF to his name. And then in 2017, he missed Lima and still had a 1.38 average finish. That's including that DNF. He won 10 races in 2017 and 2018. Jared has been at the top of the field for sure. Now let's talk about the guy who pushed Jared to the very end last year. Let's talk about that Essence and Yamaha of Dallas Daniels. In only his second full-time season with the AFT SuperTwins class, Dallas Daniels has already captured that flat track Grand Slam. He's got his short track win, his TT win, his half-mile win, his mile win. He accomplished that in just 29 SuperTwins starts. And Dallas's season last year, he had an average finish of 2.3, which is just wild to think that he never finished outside the top 5 and still runner-up in that championship. It just goes to show you, again, I know the rider count is down and people are upset about that, but these championships are not any easier to win. Sure, maybe the main events are a little bit easier to qualify for, but to win these championships, you can barely finish off the podium. You need to be up there every single night on the box, because if not, the talent level amongst that top tier, amongst Jared, Dallas, Brier, they're going to eat you alive if you fall back at all during the season. And Dallas, he had his one mistake at Peoria to counteract Jared's mistake in Arizona. So they really leveled out, and they were just in a knockdown, drag-out fight all season. Dallas, he's only had one race outside the top 10 in his entire SuperTwins career thus far, over 2 seasons. And he picked up 5 wins last year. So Dallas, I think coming into this year, he's got to be loving the way it looks to start. He's a great short track rider. Dallas, to be fair, he's a great all-around rider. He's got those mile wins. We saw him draft by Jared at Red Mile in 2022. So Dallas can definitely compete on the miles. I know can't be happy with Jared being able to take almost every mile win last year. And he was able to beat Dallas at every mile last year. So Essence is going to have to clean up that mile program. There are only 3 on the schedule at 2 tracks. We've got DuQuoin, and then, of course, the doubleheader at Springfield over Labor Day weekend. So if Essenson can find that speed on the miles to stay right there with Jared at those rounds and to maybe, beat him in these short tracks and TTs and try to get the better of him in at least 1 or 2 of these half miles, but just stay connected, Dallas is going to be a real threat again this year. The kid is super talented. He's super gifted, and we're lucky to have him in this sport because Dallas is a very talented motorcycle rider. He could probably run anywhere he wanted to, but he's choosing to chase this flat track glory and to try to take the number 1 plate off one of the greatest of all time. And that brings us to a rider who has been able to take the number 1 plate, not just take it, but also defend that title before Jared was able to get back to him. Brier Balman is a 2-time champion. And last year, I know it wasn't the year that Brier was hoping for. Brier, in his 2 championship years, he had, in 2019, an average finish of 4.1, and he had 2 DNFs, which factored into that. Then in 2020, he had an average finish of 2.26. His worst finish was 7th. He was only off the podium very rarely in those years. So again, we talk about needing to stay up front, needing to stay on the podium. And Brier showed that he could beat the champ, that he could take that number 1 plate. Again, like we said, last year, not the year that Brier was hoping for. A lot of things going on for his program and just in his life in general. For him to be able to come out on a bike that he had barely seen, let alone never ridden before Daytona, and to come out and podium the first night, he still accumulated 9 podiums and 2 wins across last year. I don't see Brier having these 7th place finishes, these 12th, these 18th. I don't see that happening in 2024. I think Brier is going to be right back in the mix, on the box a lot, up there in the top 5, chasing wins. I definitely see him getting more than 2 wins this year. I think Brier could get right back in the title hunt. I know in our singles preview, we mentioned that we don't see Tom Drain being able to close 41 points on Cody Kopp, and Brier was nearly 100 points back last year. But Brier is one of these riders where I look at this schedule and look at just his demeanor when we were down at Winter Throwdown and just how happy he seemed to be at the track, and he had that aggression. I think Brier is going to be very, very competitive and very much in the title hunt this year. You look at the short tracks to start the year, I think that falls right into his wheelhouse. We trim out a couple of miles. We trim out our, the one TT, which might sting a little bit, but Brier's shown that he can win on these half miles too, these clay car tracks. He looked so good when he was on the Indian at those tracks. Had a win taken away from him at Charlotte and had probably a title taken away from him at Charlotte in 2021. But that's in the past, and we're looking to the future, and we're looking at Brier Balman definitely being a contender for this championship this year. He finished 4th in points last year. He's got 24 career wins, and he's going to be back on the KTM. Brier's program is going to look a little bit different this year. He's separated from Dave Zanotti and Michelle DeSalvo. He's going to have a new thing going this year, but he's still going to be with Rick Ware Racing. He's still going to be on this KTMs. And Brier's going to have a powerhouse in his corner with Kenny Coolbeth and Ricky Howerton. And Howerton's proven that he can beat the best. He had that Kawasaki win a championship with Brian Smith back in 2016. So definitely some big names in Brier's corner. And I think Brier is ready to get back up there and put it on Dallas and Jared. And just, again, looking at this schedule, I think Brier, especially to start the year, he can knock off, a couple of wins and stay up there on the box fighting for podiums. I think both Brier and Dallas are going to have a bit of an edge on Mees to kick off the season before we head into the half miles and the miles over the summer months. So it could be quite a roller coaster ride for us. But I do feel that those 3 riders are going to be the cream of the crop this year in the AFT SuperTwins class. Now, a rider very capable of picking off multiple wins, and I think could very much play a spoiler in this title chase. And who knows, if he can stay healthy, maybe even be a championship contender. And that's the number 44 of Brandon Robinson. Brandon has 13 career wins, and he was right there in the hunt to start the year. Bad crash in Arizona kind of derailed things a little bit, it seemed. And for Brandon to not get any wins last year is a bit of a shock, because Brandon has been someone that you see win races every single year in AFT. And I think this year Brandon's going to get back on the horse and get back in top of the box. I think he's going to get a win, maybe even 2. Brandon's going to be really competitive this year. I feel like, again, his Achilles heel has been TTs, and we have a handful of guys coming up into this class that I think are going to potentially knock him maybe down a couple spots on a TT, but Brandon on short tracks and half miles is a threat every time. And he's even shown a lot of speed on miles too. We can't forget that he's got wins at Springfield in the past, and he looked really competitive at Springfield last year. Definitely pushing Mees and Balman on that first day. And on the second day, he got knocked off the box there. But Brandon is a rider, again, 13 career wins. And I think he's going to be one of these guys that could definitely, if he can keep his confidence up and get some good results at the beginning of the year, could start to put pressure on our big three for that championship. So we're excited to see what Brandon Robinson can bring to the table here in 2024 on these Indians. Going to be competitive, and Brandon's a guy that we love to support. And so I definitely think he could be one of these guys who could get in the mix and play spoiler for one of the championship contenders. And while I'm not sold on him being in the hunt down to the very end just yet, I do think that Brandon's going to knock off a couple of wins and be impressive this year. Just need to stay healthy. Fifth in points last year, we got to give it up for Davis Fisher. And Davis, he picked up a win at Charlotte in 2021. He had 9 top 5s in 2023, but only 2 podiums. And Davis is one of these riders who, if we can just get a full night together, Davis can knock off a couple more wins. He was really competitive at Bridgeport. It would not surprise me if when we go back there, or maybe on one of these other clay tracks, for Davis to get a win. Davis is a really talented rider. He had such a successful career in the singles class, and Davis is a rider who you just can't count out. And he looked really good at Daytona as well. He got a podium down there at the short track, and then podiumed at Springfield as well to end the year. So shouts out to Davis. Definitely a versatile rider. Would love to see him just be able to put that full day together and get that win and get up in the mix for those race wins toward the end of the night much more. Seems to be a rider who's, again, right there on the cusp of a podium, top 5, kind of just outside the top 5 a handful of times as well. Just needs to get a little bit more out of him to become that threat on a nightly basis to get wins and to test for championships. I don't see Davis being a title contender necessarily, but definitely a rider who can take points from these guys and again play spoiler in that title chase. Now, a rider who has trained and ridden a lot with Davis in the past is unfortunately moving on to a new challenge, and that is JD Beach. JD Beach is not going to be racing full-time with American Flat Track this year. We hope that JD is able to make it out to a couple of rounds, because JD is one of these riders who has shown that he is the man to beat on these TT tracks. So we don't know if he's going to be able to make it to Peoria or to the Sturgis TT, but if JD shows up, I would go ahead and probably predict that 95 to be the winner out there. It would be definitely nice to see JD be able to come out and run a few AFT rounds and get out there and maybe fight for a couple more wins to add to his total. Another rider that we just don't know about at the moment of recording this is Jared Vanderkooi. And Jared's a former race winner. He had a podium at Daytona to start the year, and unfortunately doesn't have a ride right now as we're recording this. But Jared's a rider that we need on this circuit. Incredibly talented rider. Somebody who's been up there fighting for wins. Was super fun to watch him battle at the Hagerstown race that I was able to attend last year. He and Trevor Bruner had a couple of fun battles, especially in that Will Davis Memorial Dash for Cash. So we really hope that we can get Jared out on the grid for the majority of this season, if not all of it. Jared's a rider that we definitely want to fill out this field. You want to get the best of the best, and Jared deserves to have a full-time ride in this Super Twins class. And Jared's a rider that I think if you give him the right program, he's got the talent to win races. Let's hope that we can get to see a lot of that number 20 and that Jared can make a bunch of rounds this year. We talked about JD Beach maybe not being in every round, but hopefully making an appearance. One rider we do know will be at a handful of rounds to start the year, and on a new program, Sammy Halbert's going to be on those Dodge Brothers Harley Davidsons, and it'll be really cool to see Sammy back there on the XRs. Always some excitement coming with Sammy Halbert, and he'll be down there in Daytona and Ventura and Chico. Short track racing, something that Sammy is really, really successful at, and we're looking forward to seeing him on those Harleys mix it up. He's been on the Indians the past few years, and so seeing him pop on these XR 750s will be a fun addition to the Super Twins class down there in Daytona, where our Sammy and JL10 got into it, and we love the man. We love Sammy. He's been great for this sport, and it's so cool that a former multi-time winner in this series is out here, still mixing it up, still putting it on the boys. And hey, Sammy's kind of a neighbor to us now here, living in Charlotte, so Really excited to see what that program has in store and what he's able to do on those XR 750s down there when we kick things off in Daytona. Wouldn't necessarily be surprised if Sammy was able to put it up there on the box there, or maybe even contest for a win. You can't ever count him out. I know last year he had finishes 3 6th place finishes and an 8. Got tangled up in some chaos down there, and hey, the Slammers here for good, and he got robbed of that FIM title. We should be talking about the FIM flat track champion Sammy Halbert, but that's for another day. We saw the videos, we saw what went down there, and unfortunate how that all played out. But it'll be really awesome to have Sammy grit up with us for a few rounds, and looking forward to see what he can do with the Dodge Brothers team. And another rider who is going to be switching brands and bringing on a ghost from the past. We've got Honda coming back to the Twins class, and that Dan Bromley on this new Honda is going to be something that I'm looking forward to. And having Honda back is super cool. I wish them all the best. Dan is a rider who on his Yamaha last year picked up a couple of 6th place finishes, was right there just outside the top 5. We'll see what kind of speed these Hondas have, see how they behave, and see how this program's coming along. Probably a former AFT singles champion, also a Production Twins winner in 2021, and in 2022, in every start that he made on the Production Twin, he finished on the podium. No wins, but several seconds and thirds in every start that he made there. Joining Bromley on the Honda team, we can't leave him out. Merg's coming up. Morgan Mishler going to be full-time in the Twins with that Honda team. Mishler, several singles wins, a few Production Twins top 5s during his time in that class. So Mishler, Bromley, a good pair to put together on these Hondas. Mishler's a rider who's shown speed on these clay tracks especially, and looked really good on some of these half miles where he's picked up wins, been competitive on miles too when he was with the Turner team. So it'd be cool to have Dan and Morgan teamed up. And another rider who's, I guess we can say new bike goofing is Cam Smith. He's hopping over to the Shapers Motorsports KTM, and I was really happy to see Cam finally break through and get that 5th place finish in Black Hills. Cam's a rider who we saw a lot of mechanical issues from over the past few years, but Cam's a rider who was really competitive and chasing wins in the Production Twins class, and I'm definitely looking forward to Cam getting on the Shapers Motorsports KTM, and hopefully we can see him inside the top 5 and definitely inside the top 10 more. A couple other riders and brands to talk about. Bronson Bauman's still going to be on KTM. Bronson, a former winner, a handful of top 10s last year. Bronson's a rider who we would definitely love to see get back up on the podium and mix it up for wins. It was so cool seeing Brier and Bronson go 1-2. Glad Bronson's still going to be on tour with AFT this year. Colby Carlisle back with G&G on the Yamaha, and Colby impressed us last year when he picked up that 4th place finish at Sacramento, was running in the front of the pack. I'll be honest, I didn't expect to see that, and so it was really cool to see Colby and that G&G team shine out there in Sacramento. Back year 2, staying with the Yamaha. Colby's been on these Yamahas consistently, so hopefully a motorcycle that he's familiar and comfortable with. Colby, another rider that has won an AFT singles title and is up here on the top level with the Super Twins class, and a G&G team, a couple of Production Twins titles with Corey Texter, and a great team to be a part of. So it'll be cool to see what Colby can do this year, and maybe he can turn those 4th places into podiums and get also a few more top 10s with that team as well. When I saw the news about the Sturgis Super TT, I felt like my initial reaction was, man, this is a race that Johnny Lewis could be a winner in. Johnny's Supermoto experience, I think, might factor in there. And so when that Royal Enfield heads up to Sturgis, this could be their time. And let's not forget that Johnny was right up there in the mix for a top 5 at Daytona this year before the crash. And Johnny's shown a lot of speed at several tracks, picking up a Too Fast, Too Tasty challenge win last year. And that Royal Enfield has come a long way. It's really cool to see him so invested and Royal Enfield so invested in this sport. And it's cool to see that program come along and now having the build, train, race class as part of some of these events as well. Really glad to see Royal Enfield's involvement in the sport. Just another brand. Again, we're bringing back Honda. We've got Royal Enfield involved, obviously, Indian and KTM and Yamaha, and Sammy keeping them Harleys on board as well. So another brand here. What we love to see. We definitely need more manufacturers to get on board and be involved in this sport so we can keep this thing growing. Now, that brings us to our rookie class. The AFT SuperTwins series has a rookie class this year, and it's something we haven't gotten to talk about with this class in quite some time. We're going to get to see 3 really stout rookies on 3 different brands. We've got Trevor Bruner, who's going to be hopping on the KTM with Dave Zanotti, Michelle DeSalvo, the program that Brier Balman was on last year. Trevor's going to be moving into that. He's going to be rocking that number 21 that we'd love to see. Also, you've got Max Whale stepping up to the Super Twins class aboard the Lattice Motorsports Harley Davidson XG750. Got to be very excited to see what Max is able to do there. And then, of course, the reigning AFT Singles Rookie of the Year, Declan Bender, who we talked to a couple weeks ago. He's on the Briggs Automotive Grumpy Old Mid Racing Indian. And we're going to start with Declan and then work our way backwards. But Declan had a really strong finish to that rookie campaign. He was able to dig himself out of that rut, 22 points down in the rookie chase, leaving Daytona, but kept battling, made main events, stayed in the show, and then toward the end of the season picked up 3 really strong results, 3 top 10s in those last 4 races, and picking up that 6th place finish in Springfield, running toward the front both days at Springfield, and really looking strong and able to hopefully carry some of that momentum. If you haven't checked out our interview with Declan, it's a really fun watch and a lot of insight from him into sort of how he would rate his season and what he's looking forward to when he steps on that Indian this year up in the Super Twins class. Max Whale, 5th in AFT singles last year, but he's a 2-time runner-up and he's got 8 career singles wins. Max was part of that Red Bull KTM team, moving up to the Super Twins now. I think it's a good move for him, obviously. Got the opportunity with that Harley XG750. I do worry a little bit about that machine. I know he's got great people in his corner, and Max is a really talented rider. I look to see Max probably excel on some of these clay half miles and short tracks. Max even has looked really strong on TTs. I don't know if that program's going to be able to hang with the leaders on the miles. We'll just have to wait and see. Max won Sonoya last year. I think that could be a track where that XG proves to be a little bit competitive and sporty out there. So hoping to see a good performance out of Max at that round. And again, with the TTs as well. I do believe that these TTs and short tracks really help even the playing field to where the Indians and the Yamahas don't have the complete control over the night, even if they have managed to pick up most of the wins over the past few years. I do think that when you get to some of these crapshoot type races, that other brands like the KTMs, like the KTM's Harleys, who knows what the Royal Enfield might even be able to do with Johnny, but Max on that XG. It'll be cool to see the XG and the XR down there at Daytona. So definitely looking forward to seeing Max take on this rookie season. But I have to kind of give the edge for Rookie of the Year to Trevor Brunner. I just have been really impressed with Trevor's riding over the past few years. His progression in the singles class has been really cool to see. And poor Trevor, man. In 2021, he finished 5th in points. He was 1 point behind Mikey Rush for 4th. Throughout that year, he had 2 wins and 7 top 5s. Looking ahead to 2022, he finished 4th in points, improved his standings, and he was 1 point out of 3rd behind Morgan Mishler. In 2022, he improved his top 5s to 10 and kept 2 wins as well. And then last year, he was only 5 points behind Tom Drave for 2nd in points. He finished 3rd and had 13 top 5s and another 2 wins. Now, Super Twins class is a whole other animal, but Trevor has a great program in his corner this year, and he had a 4.1 average finish in the 2023 singles class. He was no worse than 6th. Trevor is an aggressive rider, but a very talented rider as well. And I think that when we run some of these TTs and again, these short tracks that really kind of blow things wide open, and I think Trevor could be competing for podiums on those tracks. Even some of these clay tracks, he was so impressive on that 450, beating some Indians at Hagerstown and just really dominated that whole weekend. And Trevor, I just can't bet against him when it comes to this rookie program. I do think he's probably gonna take that crown. And like I said, I don't know that I'm ready to say that he's gonna win a race in his rookie campaign, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's able to pick up a podium this year. So who's gonna win this championship? Well, I think we're gonna have it come all the way down to the final round. I don't think anybody's gonna be able to check out. I think the 3 riders we mentioned at the top of our program are going to push each other. I think they're going to be extremely consistent and be the class of the field this year. I think we're going to leave Springfield with 2 or maybe even 3 of them in the hunt as we come down to that finale. And I think that the champion in 2024 is finally going to be the Essence and Yamaha, and I think it's going to be Dallas Daniels. I think Dallas is going to get it done. I just look at how consistent he was last year, and I don't think that Mees is going to fall off that much, but I do think that there are riders who can get between Dallas and Jared on these short tracks and TTs, and I think Dallas and that Essence and team are going to make sure that they don't fall behind on these miles and these half-mile tracks. I think Dallas is going to be able to keep it tight, and I might eat my words, And Jared might come out and dominate, or Brier might come out and dominate, but my heart and my mind, just after seeing what I saw last year and seeing such improvement from Dallas and the continuing growth, this is probably going to make Jared even more, if he sees it, it's going to make him even more wanting to go out there and prove me and anybody else who's doubted him wrong. I mean, how can we doubt him after all the accomplishments he's had? But I just feel like there's a bit of a shift in momentum, and I think even though Dallas made Jared up his game, I think Dallas is going to up his game even more. I think Dallas is going to take this championship, although I'm not sure that he gets the win in the final round. But I do think he's going to carry the point lead. He's going to do what he needs to do to take home this year's 2024 Mission SuperTwins championship. But before we can crown a champion, we got to go to Daytona. Boom dirt, baby. We're going to Daytona for the doubleheader to start the season. And I think we're going to see, just like in the singles class, I think we're going to see two different winners down in Daytona. Opening night, I think Brandon Robinson's going to get that redemption from last year. He led most of that race before Dallas was able to get by him. And then on night 2, I think Dallas is going to get another win. I think Dallas is going to leave Daytona with a win and with the points lead once again as we get this season rolling on into Sonoya. So, yeah, I'm going to go Brandon Robinson gets the opening night win, and Dallas Daniels wins night 2 down in Daytona. And we're really excited to get this season underway. Huge thank you to Dave and Kathy Hoenig, who helped me with the photos for this. Huge thank you to Corey Texter for allowing us to get so much great footage from Winter Throwdown, from Escape the Berg, from Hagerstown to help really B-roll these videos so you don't have to look at me so much. I don't like looking at myself in the mirror every morning. I know you guys don't want to stare at me for as long as we've talked on this either, but I'm probably going to have to because I want to keep this thing going. Thank you again to Scotty Taylor for kind of coaching me through this and giving me feedback and really giving me some inspiration to get into talking in front of a camera about a sport that I very much love. So please make sure that you support Tanks Laughing Podcast, Flat Track Photos, Off the Groove Podcast, also Pipe Dreams Podcast with James Rispoli and Corey Alexander. They've had some amazing interviews, and with a former champion of our sport, Brier Balman, where he really kind of peeled back the curtain and let us into his life. Corey Texter's interview on that was phenomenal. Again, just James and Corey Alexander do a great job with their podcast as well. So please support Pipe Dreams. Please support American Flat Track this year. If you can make it out to the track, that'd be phenomenal. Buy tickets, bring your family, introduce new people, friends to this great sport that we love so much. And thank you all so much for checking this out. And again, let me know your thoughts, predictions. Tell me how stupid I am or how right I am in the comment section, or if you guys see me out on the track. Again, thank you for supporting this channel, and thank you for supporting Flat Track Racing. We love this sport, and we love you guys. Thank you so much.